Hello everyone, September the 24th, 2021. Today is a big day and it's just about 2.5 hours before that moment when in Phoenix, Arizona, the Maricopa County results will be publicly released, yes, at the same time as they are released to the committee and to the full Senate. So this is all at one shot and expect it to be big. And why? Well, I was stunned when I looked at the astrology. Now this is inside the American Nations chart of July 4th, 1776. Outside you see the transits. Now look at this. Okay, sure, I know this chart is rectified in that sense. Dane Rudyard is the one who has come up with that time, and I had multiple experiences where these 2 points meet heaven at 2 degrees Libra and Ascendant at 13 degrees Sag are powerfully charged with planets and transits over and again when big things happen. So that's why I'm using this chart, and this is not disappointing at all today, that the sun is here right at midheaven in the American Nations chart. So this is the height of the day. This is the time when the sun enters the 10th house by transit, which is every year around that time between September 24 and roughly October 24. In that time the sun is in the 10th house, and if you would go back in through the many years, you would see there's an accumulation of important events in that month regarding government and the direction of the country in a bigger way. So yes, the sun here right at midheaven, this made me really say, wow, there's something to this. There must be more than what the eye meets. And sure enough, so let me start you off with the whole story here which I put together, and let's start with the sun entering Libra, which is the fall equinox as calculated for Phoenix, which just happened 2 days ago. And again, I think this is pretty awesome. And also you see the similarity between this chart and this chart. See that? That's the one I just used before. And this is what the fall equinox looks like in Phoenix. And the fall equinox, naturally, that's a seed point where all the new moves are in kind of anchored. That's the best way to see it. These are powerful milestones in the time-space continuum. When you have to imagine that is the moment when the sun is exactly vertical above the Earth's equator. If you think of the Earth here, and the Earth has its axis a kind of 23 degrees, so the Earth travels around the sun, and then 2 times a year, then if the sun is here, the sun stands exactly vertical above the equator. This is in that sense would be well, we have to move the other way, so this would be fall equinox, and this would be winter, and this would be summer, spring equinox, and yeah, you get the picture. So it is this moment which is a seed point, and that was how it looked in Phoenix, Arizona, right at the beginning of the cardinal sign Libra, and the sun just a few minutes off. This says in a nutshell, this is where to look at for the next 3 months. That's where there will be a center of gravity, a center of expression of manifestation. The 10th house also is about consciousness and manifestation, what really is brought into the greatest exposure of light. Juno at the ascendant. And again, as you will see easily here when I do the bring up the American chart again, that is where Juno is right now by transit against the nation's chart. So Juno here at the ascendant, that is the people, we the people. It is happening on many fronts together, on the medical issue thing, and now also it will be on the political way thing, if you want to see it that way, although it's much bigger than politics now. It's much bigger than the medical system. Everything has been just used as I would say a smokescreen almost to achieve a bigger agendas. Yeah, you get it. It's that deception, levels on levels of deception we are facing in this present time, and that will be really the main aim, to corner Neptune, and that is about to happen in the next half year. The big breakthroughs in uncovering all the lies. In that sense, it is interesting that Neptune right now, and then let's just go on now to today's chart. I guess it's this one here, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's the one for 1 p.m. in Phoenix today, in the 24th. Galactic Center rising. Surprise, surprise. I have mentioned that many times when we have these late degrees of Sagittarius rising or any planet there, this is bringing in galactic energy. Now, when I say galactic energy, this is the higher dimensional frequencies of spirituality and of oneness, of unity. This is kind of the frequency all the star nations and extraterrestrial intelligences and channelings are coming. That's the main kind of bandwidth, if you want to say so. Whenever planets here, then we can expect these planets have amplified effect in our world. And just a few days ago we had actually just yesterday, it was exact when Australia was at the Galactic Center. Australia, I wrote a little post in the Facebook, on my Facebook page on Celestial Rhythms. Those of you who are not yet part of that group, I'm inviting you. I will accept anyone who is wanting to know more of all those levels. I can't do videos about all and everything. Sometimes I'm just having a little time, so I put it out a post. But to say Australia is the goddess, represents that energy of coming in and helping in crisis situations, of rolling one's sleeves back and getting one's hands dirty to do something of value to make a situation better. So that's kind of the tenor here. And then we have also Aspolus, which I just made a video of. That's just my last one, which is circling the opposition point of the Galactic Center for 2 years, between roughly 2021 and 2023. Aspolus is the Sherlock Holmes energy, I like to name it. It's that deep interest and fascination with the dark, the difficult, the problems, and trying to see to the bottom of issues, bringing things back into a balance. That's the higher goal behind this. So this is happening as we speak. This is the one of the aspects I've been talking about quite a bit. Then how interesting is that? Chiron at the root of the chart, at the 4th house cusp. Yes, that is dealing with difficult situations. That is coming to terms with the illness, in a way. It's that moment when the doctor tells you, well, you have this and that, and you need to go through certain treatments. The first stage when you learn something like that is denial. I guess that's what we have seen and still are seeing on large scale. The next level then is a deep depression and a shock, and realizing, oh me, and I'm whatever. It is just that difficult period of digesting the truth, and then out of that, the next stage is rage, usually, where things go, where you start blaming and wanting to take down those who have caused the thing. Now, if it's something like cancer or so, this is a little more tricky. But as soon as it's in an exterior way, naturally, it's easy to project. Then the fourth is coming to terms and really going for the healing and looking for better times and leaving the past behind. This is the phases we will be going through between now and February. February probably around is when the acceptance really is becoming the major emotion we see between now and then. We go through all these other phases at accelerated speeds. Confusion, depression, rage, and then finally starting towards the end of January, and I will tell you why. The main player there is, and is Arrokoth. Arrokoth is the energy which allows us to see the full picture. Arrokoth has been here in this interesting area of 54, the marrying maiden, which is an extremely dynamic energy of it relates to the I Ching, the basic yin yang symbol, right, with the two parts moving. Anyway, I go into this another time. I wanted just to mention Arrokoth. I easily get sidetracked, sorry about that. So Arrokoth enters 61, which is inner truth, which is the moment when we really are able to focus on the important key issues. That is starting by the end of January 2021. And that will be a probably 5 to 6 year phase where we are coming to terms with truth, in a simple way said. Right now we're still in that period of turbulence, and that has been on for the last 5 years, roughly, to put it in a nutshell. So let's go back to fall equinox for a moment, and I want to point out a couple more things which are very important in this coming phase. Mercury was in a perfect exact opposition to Eris, and the moon is just applying to this opposition, coming in to join. Now, the Aries energy is warlike, and the war is fought for truth, to bring out the full picture of what's true here. And in that process, the conflict is not avoided. We go right for it. We face the opponent and challenge to bring out truth. That's really what Eris is about. The moon represents the people, and then on top of that we have that square here from Pluto, and that actually has been going on for about 4 years now. That square, we will just have the last exact aspect between the two on October 9th. So this has been building. This is the questioning of authority and of ruling powers, and of all the media are very Plutonic too. It is that big war between what is true and what is not, and that whole complexity, and Mercury now joining, representing our thinking mind, and going through this opposition for 3 times, as Mercury is just coming to a culmination here at 25 degrees and something on the 27th. That is just 3 days from now. So Mercury is just kind of culminating to then go retrograde into October till October 18. That's an important date. I would like you to mark that almost on your calendar. I guess I would say October 18th, 20th, we see some radical shifts. Between now and then, we are in the building up phase towards that. So today's event will kind of break the whole thing open. Where it's no more being that they can't contain it anymore. It's like the vessel is broken. You can't come with duct tape anymore and plug this little hole and this crack. It just will spill. And so there will be quite some confusion and rage, and all emotions will fly high with the moon in here, certainly so. Now this is again the root chart. If we go to today's chart, you will be surprised. This is what it looks like when the results will be revealed. That will be the initial moment of the event. A Moon-Uranus conjunction, that is pretty shaky. That by itself was a big telling point that this would be a wild day today. And interestingly enough, it's released after hours of the financial markets. I find it really special. On a Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, that's when all the markets close. So we can expect, just because of that, it will be history, what is in the making. Let's look at what else I have here ready for you. Okay, that was Australia yesterday. Yeah, I just wanted maybe have a... Okay, let's not get lost here in details. There's so many things I could talk about, but I don't want to make these videos too long, so I keep focusing on the really key points, and then slowly, as you are... because I know it's a lot. It's a lot of information, and it's easily to be overwhelmed, I guess. Anyway, I want to keep it focused today. So this is now the midpoint chart between the American nation, that one we looked at before. I'll just go quite quickly back to it, of July 4, 1776, and this moment when the release happens in Arizona, and Mars rising, Mars again, and then the moon appear in Aries and 7 degrees Aries in midheaven with Sedna, with Astrea again. So it's very similar players. Sedna is the one which I guess is very responsible for disclosure, for bringing out of the underground all the dark and difficult information, and facing abuse, facing all the dark themes in the end, facing deceit, and naturally the cleanup and then, okay, let's just look at this for a moment. So this is the midpoint chart. Look at this, 7 degrees 29, and where is Mars today at 6:22 in those same degrees. So Mars is really amplified. I like the Venus North Node here in this midpoint chart. You see it's 1899. This is the time-space midpoint again between the birth of the nation and where we are now. The resonance point, if you want, I do a lot of work with that. It's amazing how these midpoint charts work. It's the resonance points. It's how our experience, in a way, where the entities meet of who, of what we are at our roots and how we meet present time, and then the midpoint is how these two energies interact. North Node Venus is the highest aim here is to bring harmony and peace in Capricorn, to bring society together, to be of service. Venus in Capricorn is very responsible. It will be done in a very transparent way, so without direct conclusions, I would say, but just by presenting the raw data, which has been double-checked and double-checked again and confirmed. They did, certainly we can tell, I mean, they did a profound job. We can tell that by simply by how long it took. Then this nodal axis, yes, is squaring Sedna and squaring the mid-heaven and squaring Mars by transit here, as you see. And then this is kind of the cherry on top, Salacia, which makes it all kind of digestible in a way, makes it easier to deal with. Salacia is the ability to enjoy what is happening, the ability to see that this is important and this is for the good of everything. It is a necessary phase to go through. Salacia has to do with the spiritual, higher dimensional idea of Tantra. Not just the sexual Tantra, but way, way more, that you're enjoying everything you're doing, everything that happens. It's that attitude of knowing that whatever life brings you is good per se, you could say, regardless if it's difficult or exhilarating or whatever, to have that inner attitude. And here at the bottom of the chart, yes, this shows that the American people are truly ready to be there for it, and they have been primed, and the whole thing has been built up very carefully over many years. I mean, this goes back to fall 2016, I would say, when those first emails were released, which showed all the corruption on the levels of the political system, and brought up then with the Podesta emails, as those of you who have been following that back then already, that were the big initiators. And then from there on, naturally, these things were contested, and but that's important. It was it had to build to a certain level of acceptance and of being primed for what's to come. And I guess we've just now arriving in this time where things really will be unveiled. That's how it looks like. So again, these are the transits over the American nations chart. Again, the sun up here, that's today, the 24th of September. And then we have this thing here, the black moon here approaching the nation's Uranus. That will be exact within 12 days approximately. So that brings us to early October 6th, and October will be wild. I mean, October it will be really, you can almost see the dominoes falling. However, this will keep rattling and going through that whole Mercury retrograde phase, when Mercury will make its second exact opposition with Aries and square with Pluto. And you see, this is another one really, it's worth mentioning, the American nations. Mercury, the ability to think, process in a cultural way, and to bring things together in that more overall perceptive field. That is Cancer, very emotional thinking. So that I guess if you look at the TV ads, you know why. Yeah, you see this locks in right with this T-square. Is that ever amazing? So yeah, it's just ready. Everything has come into the right place. There's a few more things I could mention. Yes, that's the other one I want to say. So, however, I have to bring up two charts because you can't see all the minor points. But this is Neptune here today, 21-29 Pisces. And when we go back to the nations chart, look where Arrokoth is in the nations chart, 21-33. It's these years where Neptune is challenged by this Arrokoth energy, where finally it will be nailed down and brought into the light. You see, this is a very powerful combination of energies here in the American nations chart. We have Neptune and the black moon up here, and I talked about that before. That's kind of the whole mind control aspect of how smart they have built that whole thing up, that so many people are so blinded and so not seeing what's happening in front of their eyes, intercepted naturally in the 9th house, the house of higher knowledge. So this has been kind of alienated and locked out of the system. And then there comes Arrokoth here, and perfectly placed. It's really beautiful how existence works. Arrokoth again, the power to see the whole picture, the ability, the standing under the open sky, receiving all the wonderful energies of the stars and seeing the full picture. Arrokoth has been increasingly important since early 2019. On January 1st, 2019, that is when New Horizons, the space probe New Horizons, again, just think of that name and by itself, another omen. It opened New Horizons. New Horizons, the space probe who prior had been researching Pluto, was then flying by Arrokoth, the farthest distant object out in space so far we have closely visited, which also then another interesting energetic aspect of that thing. Arrokoth, the findings they came back with, had them go over their books and rewrite the whole solar system's history. That's how big it is. So Arrokoth, once activated, is challenging the way we understand reality, and that's now amplified with Neptune here in this position, and then naturally there's Mars here in the T-square. So Mars is the one which really is inserting energies into the system too, with TX 300, which is a bit rude and rough. So it's an interesting mix of energies, and that one is activated right as we speak in this present time over a long period of time, naturally, as Neptune is so slow. So then let's go to, okay, yeah, I guess that's a good one too. That's the midpoints outside, and inside we have the American Nations chart. Again, the midpoint chart is here for that moment when the release begins today with the base chart. And what are we seeing here? Chiron and Pluto here. Again, these are aspects which will last for quite a long time. Pluto has been here at the 7th house cusp since I guess 2018 around, so really shaking through society, causing all those extreme expressions of which could be riots and protests and uprisings and people played out against each other naturally too. So this is a tumultuous phase the nation is in naturally. We know that. That's nothing new. Now, Chiron is moving faster, and Chiron is just starting to activate here this area of the Ascendant, which again is coming to terms with what is rebooting, restarting, exposing all which has been going wrong and starting from scratch. That's kind of just now coming up, getting interestingly powerful over the next year or so for sure. Through the thicket, the bottleneck. Again, well, one more thing I want to say is here. The moon, midpoint moon at 12 degrees, and as you remember, if we go back to the chart of the day, that is where Chiron is, and the 4th house cusp in this chart. So it is again showing that this is a grassroots movement now. The people have pushed for this whole recount. It's coming from the bottom up, literally, the healing. And yes, it is definitely starting today, that big revelation. And okay, now I found this also interesting. That's now the secondary progressions for the American nation. That means 244 days after July the 4th. Each day counts for a year. That's the main key in astrology. So look at that. 9 degrees and 9 minutes is the Ascendant here in this progress chart. And if we go back to this chart, the base chart, where is Orcus? 9 degrees 10 in Virgo. Orcus is transmute, alchemy, change the energies, refocus, heal. Orcus is in the same category as Pluto, a deep underground force if you want, but once activated it will change everything from deep within. So this is super interesting that this just now is getting exact. So you think it's 1 degree a year roughly, so 1 minute of arc a week. That's the movement of the progressed ascendant. So within a week or so it will be exact, that alignment with the natal Orcus. And then here naturally this the progressed Orcus, which is still about 2/3 to 1 year away. so it is this whole time span when that transmuting phase is very, very central. And I pointed it out many times. Yes, Nessus here at the other end. Nessus is all the pathological and deep state, if you want, energies of betrayal, of abuse. So this has to be transmuted. That's what's happening all through these years. Uranus and Vesta here at the top of the chart. Yes, it is a time of revolution. Again, this is a slow moving point, 1 degree a year, but it happens so that this is pretty exactly the midpoint between these two. See, if you add it up, this is 11 and this is 59, so it's roughly 12 degrees. If you divide that by 2, the midpoint is at 6. We're just approaching the midpoint. Within the next 3 months will be roughly by the end of the year. This progressed midheaven will be exactly between Vesta and Uranus. And naturally, still closing in on the natal Uranus. If you see, if we go back here, it's 855. So it's quite some years still to go to reach the natal. That's roughly 3 years. That would bring us into 24. So that kind of is an interesting thought, that by 2024 really the big breakthrough into the new era will be happening. Uranus naturally as the kind of the trademark, the one who carries the flag for Aquarius, Aquarian age and such. Yes, better times ahead for sure. Very exciting. So this again, I could say so many more things. You see here is Aspolus and Aracot, and then if we go back to the base chart, well, just saying here is the progress sun at 1656 Pisces, and if we go back here, you see that's pretty much where Aspolus is, and yeah, very Piscean in many ways what's going on in the United States over a longer period of time, naturally, with the progress sun in Pisces. That's been going on since roughly 2005 into 2035, I would say, somewhere in that range. So it's that melting pot, bring everything together into a new synthesis, and going through Setna and Pallas, Setna again, all the darkness and difficulty which has to come, boil up and be looked at and integrated, happening as we speak. This would be, again, both charts, the inside and birth chart of the nation, outside the progressed planets as of now. Here you see it again. Yes, it's that all here grouped together. The sun is here. Intercepted here. Yes, kind of in a bubble, if you want. Okay, yes, could be many more things said. I just quickly want to show you also the tertiary progressions for today, as again, this just kind of supports, or not kind of, it really supports this time chosen by Dane Rudyard for the last signature of these 13 states under this document, giving it full power. That's the moment when something is really becomes irreversible the moment you put your signature under a paper, under a contract, whatnot. That's the moment which is used in astrology. So, yeah. So these are the tertiary progressions. I couldn't explain you exactly how they work, but it's just fascinating that for this day, and we have the black moon here on top. Now you have to consider this moves pretty slowly. This moves probably about a degree a month here, the midheaven, and so does the ascendant. The moon moves about 1 degree in 3 days, so it is a pretty slow, but certainly much faster than the secondary progressions. So over the course of the next few weeks, yes, the black moon here by tertiary progressions is right in center stage. And Maki is at the ascendant. Maki is creation at work, making things real. Varuna is up here. Varuna is righteousness, law, justice. It's the North Star of integrity. And how else could it be? Nessus here, the pathological dark side, is exposed here, brought, kind of uprooted, I would even call it at this point. Still, you feel all the shaking and the tremors deep down, but it's the moment when things are really changing and exposed. That is just in the middle of it, if in a way you could say. Then the lunar node by progression here conjunct Pluto. That's evolution on steroids. Things go extremely fast now. I'm Chiron Aspolus, just one last one here, and also Venus here. Anyway, I could say many more things about this. Let's move on to the next one, which are the minor progressions. That is now 1 month after birth counts for 1 year. That's the lunar cycle in a way, based as basis here of the minor progressions. And again, the computer is fabulous. It calculates this within split seconds. It's so easy these days as an astrologer to use all these wonderful tools. So again, Salhasia, you remember the enjoyment part, but also Saturn and the moon. The Saturn moon, so the moon will be closing in on Saturn. That's about a 6-day period, so about in 6 days, again around October 1st. It will probably have fully sunken in what a mess we have ended up here in our country. And I'm a Canadian, however, I still very much feel for you guys, and it's a worldly problem now. It's not just within the US. The US is really the flag bearer, the walking first, blazing the trail, and we are all with you guys naturally. So that's why I'm including myself. Yes, Saturn is just being more activated here by the moon and the ascendant both. So it is, yeah, I hope you are all well stocked up for a few weeks at least, in case the chaos breaks out earlier than later. Chaos will come, no question. There's too many signs of that. But it will be short-lived. As I say by February we should get out on the other end. But that's a few months, and we have to be ready for what's coming. Yes, again, I could say many, many more things on that. Let's just move on to what I have still here. Wanted to show you, right? That's upcoming. Okay, that is a little future. This is goes to, let me see if this is the right chart I have here. Right, okay, I have it here. This is Mercury turning retrograde, just direct, sorry. After the retrograde is over, October 18, when Mercury again will be turning direct. This will be a huge shift in energy between the 18th and the 20th of October. I have no clue yet what that is. I will have to zoom in a bit more, but overall, with Venus here rising, and Huya is when we go back to our history and clean up our karma, integrate, forgive, let go, all these things, very pronounced here with Venus at the Ascendant. Harmony and peace are the highest values here in this chart, but the dark stuff is still being in the field of vision, very much so. An Aries moon, it's a new beginning. So if we do that, well, I keep it at that. I guess I don't, I just, this is a little spoiler. I give you more of that, but it will get really, really rough, but really, really exciting at the same time. So if you are knowing what we know, and that's why it's good to still share and help people to get more ready for these times. The better we are ready, the more we can help others. So thank you for listening, and I'm sure you will have a blast today and through the next weeks to come. Aside from all the emotional strain, we need that too. We need kind of that uplift. Let the future pull you into a better place, and that's what's happening. Thank you so much, and see you soon.